Jacob.
It's 11:53 a.m. What you doing?
Not much, just chilling. How are you guys doing?
All right, Jacob. So why did you ping us this morning wanting to jump on the show?
It's a great question. I was just like, fuck it, why not? It's 11 a.m.
I mean, that's the whole point of the show. So we loved seeing that.
Yeah.
But you said something in the chat that I think is a good starting point and important.
I mean, it feels like the general energy of crypto Twitter, Farcaster, or whatever you want to call the bubble is. It feels like feels a little tired or flattening out or like reaching some kind of local maximum, which is pretty interesting to just contrast with like how much excitement there is outside of that bubble for everything that's happening in crypto, you know, with like stable coins and everything on the institutional side. And then also just contrasting that with the fact that like I feel like all of the tech is here now to do all of the things that I think everyone's been dreaming of and experimenting with for like the past few years. So I don't know, that just feels interesting to see that happen, which is like, well, why is that the case? That you know, the group of people who are living and breathing this every day feel so tired in this moment when like the opportunity space is so open. I don't know if I have the answer to that. It's just interesting to kind of like name it and call it out. And
I think it's important to name it because you get stuck in these sort of doom loops very easy if you're in the wrong side of crypto Twitter. We had Jesse on yesterday, and I think a lot of the conversation was sort of really asking the question of like, why do you focus on trying to build such a big tent versus trying to go find winners? And his answer I thought was really interesting, and I think it illustrates what people get wrong, especially when they're talking about base. But I think you guys get lumped in there as well, the coin and content and stuff like that. And I think Jesse's answer was, we want to go build the economy that is going to make these consumer crypto or crypto apps work versus just the pure spec. I would say contrast that with the pure speculative value, right? So these actual users coming in, doing the thing because there's some intrinsic or other utility value and extrinsic value to them. And there isn't any number of sort of speculation games that would ever compete with the mass new market of people using this tech. And his bet is that creators and that type of user will be the sort of breakout there. And so I think it's very logical if we look. I think Vance from Framework had a critique of the Waka Flocka coin and all this sort of stuff, which, you know, I think at one level is very fair, but I think it sort of frames this sort of coin and content and maybe even the broader consumer opportunity as being wrong and not logical, when I think there's you can disagree with the logic, you know, and that might not be the market that you think is going to really emerge from this. But I think this idea that there are other bigger markets out there than crypto has been one that we've discounted for so long, and yet I think it is very much here right now. This is where growth is coming from. You have to break out of crypto Twitter, and I think a lot of founders have just felt burnt from trying to go after that broader market before, or just didn't think it was there. So yeah, I think it's
that actually made me think maybe there's two other reasons as well that it's feeling like this, which is one, it's a lot harder. Like there's no, like, it's very hard there's less magic number go up all the time. You can't just like spray and pray and then hope that it's going to work, because I think the market is actually maturing. Like as an increasing number of things get tokenized, I think the less there's just default meme value or like some kind of speculative premium built into everything, which I think is probably revealing that there's been like a general mispricing across a bunch of these different categories, where it's like, okay, maybe these shouldn't be default worth millions, not even worth hundreds of thousands. Like we're starting to get to more and more finely grained and real price discovery to whatever that value might be. And on average, it's probably a lot lower than people think. So that also plays into that same point where it's like, okay, yes, this technology is real. It's fundamentally a market technology, and we're like discovering the value of what these things are. We've been through this kind of phase where like everything is just magically worth millions of dollars out of the gate because in reality, there's actually been not enough tokens and very low supply. And now as more and more things are getting tokenized, I think, yeah, maybe there's have this kind of like meeting with reality moment where it's like, yes, it's true that all these things will be tokenized. You'll be able to express your opinion, but maybe the amount of like, yeah, magical green charts is going to be a little bit more balanced. I mean, that might be, I don't know if that's actually true or not. Like, as being in this industry for years now, like this might just be like a vibes local bottom and we're going to see like an ungodly green candle in the next like 3 days just for no apparent reason. But I think like those general, I think maybe that is like one way to come at it.
I mean, I do think that's why the vibes are so bad. Like the loudest people are the traders, the meme coiners, the people that have just built these highly speculative products. And the fact that the industry is maturing means that you actually have to go, like the way to break out now is to go do the actual really hard work of building real products that appeal to real people.
Yeah, maybe I would, I don't think I would be so bearish on the speculation side. Like I kind of view that as like the electricity or the fundamental thing that is being unlocked everywhere. So I wouldn't like, as more of these things are being tokenized, the more things that can be speculated on. And like, I have a general view that like what will help expand the market is actually meeting new users with where they're at in things they actually have an interest in speculating on. So it's like, okay, like I've never been able to speculate on a viral TikTok trend or this particular musician or this like, whatever it may be. So the more things that get tokenized, I think the first time the little degen in someone gets like woken up. And I think like I actually think that's
everyone. There's a little degen.
There's a baby degen in all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone's got a little degen inside of them that's just waiting for the right token to kind of like wake it up. So I think there will be more speculation and like we'll just be unlocking markets on more things. But yeah, I think there's just like maybe just like a general repricing of like what that actually should look like, especially for internet native things.
I mean, I always had this sort of market structure, bills, regulations as being the moment where I think we would start to see more repricing or a trigger around that. But I also sort of hold that I think there's part of that, the dissonance between the trenches and the wider world is that there is a lot of demand for tokens out there, or for crypto out there, I think, as you're talking about in whether it's RWAs or stable coins, et cetera, which I think is an incredible beachhead to introduce more people to tokens, or at the very least, the crypto rails that would enable them to be, half a step away from that. And so I think maturing is the right way to look at this. And then I think back to earlier technological shifts, so like Web 2, et cetera. What I sort of reflect on there was, one, I completely, despite being fully in and being like, this is changing the world, I drastically underestimated the scale that could come with it. And then two, the maturing of these industries actually does take away some of the magic that I think really attracts people in the early stages. And I think that can get in the way of people actually being pragmatic and building for the opportunity that exists there. So I think this is a really interesting time for founders, especially ones that have been around for a while. I think the landscape's changing quite a bit. I think ultimately that's going to be for the better. I think it brings in new token buyers. I think there's a lot of folks who have yet to realize the joy of buying tokens, but they almost want to already. I think it's going to, I don't want to say volatile, but I'm very optimistic about it as it comes out, but I think it shifts a lot of expectations, and that's going to take some time to sort of digest.
Yeah, I think that's right. Although I think I would probably be going long weirdness from here. Like I think we might be at like a local bottom for how professional and serious and institutional the use cases are. Like they're very real, and obviously like everything that we've been talking about for stablecoins for the better part of a decade now are actually coming into fruition, and that's super exciting to see. But it's like, hey, like we have real-time programmable markets for anything now, and it turns out it's starting to blur the lines for a lot of things with how we use the internet today. Like I think there is a lot more room for very weird and experimental projects. I think like that was one of the most exciting things from 2021, it was like, okay, when like NFTs were kind of widely accepted as like, these are a thing now. It was all the little like daily hackathon projects that would kind of capture the imagination and attention. Like, I don't think we've really seen much of that yet. Like, we've seen a lot of like, here's token for a funny thing or for a trend or for a geopolitical event or whatever. Like, that's starting to scratch the surface, but it's like, okay, like how can you start to like, put those into little apps or experiences that are maybe like going really specific. So yeah,
and
that's
probably a good segue for you to update us on how coins are going. We're what, six days in?
To Creator Coins?
Creator Coins, sorry.
Yeah, Creator Coins. It was actually, so we've had a hard time releasing things this year. So we were like bracing for impact. It's like, okay, like we're really excited about this, and I'm sure we're going to get ripped apart for like some reason on social or whatever. But we were pleasantly surprised where people were like, oh, hell yeah, like we wish you did this from the beginning. It was kind of like a lot of the sentiment around this. And it's cool to see it just feel like intuitively correct and then exciting to a lot of the space. And that was the hope, because obviously we couldn't do this version of Creator Coins without first doing posts, but surprising to see how kind of contentious that first stage was. And I think we're at, this might be 8,000 or 9,000 Creator Coins launched already. And yeah, like a lot of them are getting buys. It seems to be like the buying is a little bit more distributed than like more coins are getting more activity. Like a percentage of coins with buys seem to be a little bit stronger than posts, which is kind of interesting to see and makes sense. And yeah, like we've been spending a lot of our energy actually on like TikTok and Instagram recently, just like actually trying to figure out how to onboard new people. And where it's very early, but we're like starting to crack the code. Like we're like number 83 in the App Store now for social networking, which is cool. That's mostly from TikTok. So if you go to like the Explore feed on Zora and go for new creators, you can see like what these new users look like. They've connected their TikTok and starting to post. So it's like early but exciting. And I think for us, it's like it took us like 5 months end to end to go from like, here's the coins model to the complete machine we wanted, which was like tokenize the post level, tokenize the creator level, and roll that all up into Zora. So now we have that. We're able to kind of pull our head above water again and focus at the app level and the UX there. And I'm really excited because we got some cool stuff that should make it like a lot easier. And we got some new like trading features that we've got queued up that we're excited for. So yeah, we've got like the V1 of the complete machine now. And now we're able to go like, okay, let's do refine and improve engagement, retention, and then growth mode. So
it's been fun to see the kind of speculative behaviors emerge around each type of coin too. Like it seems, we're a week in, but it seems like, I bought a bunch of creators when you guys first launched, and they've been like surprisingly stable. Like it seems like people are kind of buying into the people they like or creators they care about. But at the post level, like they continue to be much more kind of speculative, kind of short attention span stuff, which I think makes sense. But I think it's just been fun to kind of watch that emerge.
Yeah, great. It's cool seeing like, like obviously the posts are very volatile and kind of like trade with the attention they're getting, versus creators. It seems to be much more like buy and hold energy, which checks out. But it's cool to see that kind of like reveal itself even in the early days. So yeah, it's been fun.
It's a great opportunity to shill the 11 a.m. creator coin. We launched that last week. Haven't been super, but every clip, every stream's being published on Zora, and you can purchase the 11 a.m. creator coin. And then, I think the simple idea of being able to, if you love live streams, you love C Club, you love podcasts, like it's very clear that buying that token is a good way just to be a part of that sort of sub-adventure or adventure within C Club. But I'm curious if you sort of think about some of the experiments or extensions or things to be built on top of it, either for us at 11 a.m. or for others. Like, what are you thinking about?
I would start with, I'd get Peace to add like the token and the CA and, the price.
It's crazy. It's not up here, right? We got USDT.
Yeah, I think like, that would probably be top of my list, which is just like, I don't think unless you're like on Zora, I don't think people know that the token actually exists.
Yeah.
It should probably be in the Twitter bio. Like these tokens still need to be shared and distributed, and like it depends where you place it as a creator that's going to have an impact.
Pieces having an existential crisis in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Peace is like, wait, what have I been doing? So yeah, I think you're doing something pretty novel already, which is like, okay, you've got the overarching essentially like creator coin, which can looks and feels like a streaming token, but all of the clips are already being tokenized as well, which I think is like, that's novel, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. I have seen some tools like Trevor's launched, I think it's Shillforce, which seems really cool. So it's like,
he's on tomorrow.
Nice. So it's like, how can you start to use 11 a.m.? Like maybe you should be giving some to guests as they come on as like a little thank you. For people who are sharing clips, like, put bounties on it and like use it as a distribution tool to kind of like build the community. I remember on the Friday, the Seed Club show, there was like a website you had maybe for people who are watching it, they press a button, they claim, and they get like 1,000 just for watching. Like there's the design space is so open here, and I think they're all like really simple 1 IQ ideas that you're like, yeah, they sound obvious, but I'm like, I think if you actually just started doing those, like the compounding effect of those is like over the next year, if you, well, even 2 months of doing this every day, I feel like we
like 1 IQ ideas.
Yeah,
they're very shippable. 1 IQ is
shippable. Yeah,
super shippable. We love it.
Right.
And yeah, I think we actually have some of the things you just talked about there in the works, which is exciting.
Right. And then what's great is I think all of these actions, particularly like as you're creating more and more content, it's no longer dilutive to the coin. It's actually adding value into the system, which I think was like the single biggest unlock for the creator coins, which is our most valid criticism from the trenches was every post was dilutive and it was really hard for traders to keep across them. And they actually wanted exposure to the creator level. And then that led to scenarios where it was, like tokens getting Melania'd by people, which, is not ideal. And then the creator coins actually are a structural and an incentive aligned solution to that problem, which I think is like probably like the most important market structure detail with that. So, yeah.
How do you think about this post-token world? I think it is, you guys came up with a token. It's an unlock for the entire economic model that you built. So absolutely essential. You couldn't be where you are today without that token. And I would say that I feel like you guys have taken a very product and brand led approach around your token versus a token centric approach around your token. Is there, how are you thinking about the sort of the public token side of Zora? Is it just we're going to be heads down and focused on building these incredible tools that unlock new opportunities and value, or is there a different motion that you need to start taking on?
I mean, there's for sure probably infinite. The opportunity space here is huge, so like there'll be other ways we can drive value. But I guess I'm pretty proud of what we have currently, because you can go to the Zora app and then you can buy at whatever level of the app that you'd like. You can buy the Zora token, which has all the value of creators and posts in the system. If you really just like a creator, you can just support that creator. And if like there's a particular post you think is going to go viral or you just like it, you can buy at that level. So it's like whatever we're doing at the product level now is going to be like, it's going to find its way into any and all of those levels of the system that we've built, which is great because we're like a product company trying to build a product, and like we're iterating on that every day. So it's like we've got this like big bucket now that can like catch all of the value that we're adding into it. I will say that like on top of that though, like there's definitely a lot of room for experimentation on using the token to like help with these like growth loops and incentives to like drive on the demand side and on the creator side to now like grow the network. Like I think I would say the core spark of the product is there. Now there's like largely just like a distribution and growth problem. And like we're figuring that out without the token. But I think if we can add the token onto that as like a multiplier, then we're in a really good spot. So that's where I think about it on that side. And then, in terms of the economic model we've got quote pairs that kind of captures all of that token value that's being created, but there's also transaction fees too. And like, obviously we're using that to fund operations and the things that we're doing at Zora Labs, but there's no reason that we can't also route some of that back into the token on top of it as well. So I think like, there's plenty more that is possible there. So,
nice.
Me, I like experimenting, and I'll always keep iterating, figure it out. So yeah, we'll see where we're at a year from now. But yeah, that's kind of how I think.
You're a local maxima hunter. That's what when you said earlier. But before we let you go, I wanted to change tact here just a little bit, because this is a question I wanted to ask you. Might as well do it live. You were part of the founding team, or very early with the USDC project during your time at Coinbase. Obviously, Circle has gone public in the last couple of weeks and just exploded. I mean, maybe and you mentioned earlier sort of this belief in stablecoins. They had like the massive time, 10 years it's taken for it to sort of break out. You have any sort of, what are your reflections on the co-founding or being a part of the early USDC days and like where it has ended up today?
Yeah, so I wasn't on the Circle side. I was at Coinbase. So I was like the first PM, so stablecoin PM that was, I was locked in a room with 2 engineers, and we were like building USDC into Coinbase. And I was working closely with Balaji and then Jim Migdal. So this was back in 2018. I think the circulating supply of USDC when Coinbase added it was something like 7 million or 10 million, like it was tiny. And I remember I was tasked with choosing the QBR goals for the stablecoin team at Coinbase for this quarter. And I was like, okay, we're at 15 million. Like by the end of the quarter, we can easily get to $100 million like circulating supply. Like this should be a piece of cake or whatever. I think it ended up landing at like 30 or 40 or something like that. It turned out that like all of the big ideas and the version of the future we saw where like stable coins would probably like commoditize the on-ramp of Coinbase, which was like, I was like, hey, that's like a huge disruptor. Like we should probably disrupt ourselves. And then we can like, we were starting to, this is when I was like starting to go really deep on like Uniswap, because like Coinbase was providing USDC ETH liquidity on Uniswap at the time to like help build this thing on chain. And I left Coinbase in early 2020. But yeah, I remember, I guess it's just like now looking back, it's taken like 7 years since Coinbase originally launched it to get to this stage where it's like, we've got the Genius Stablecoin Act. So there's like real legislation coming through. All of the largest like tech and financial companies in the world are all like seriously looking at it. Like Facebook, to their credit, was looking at it back in like 2019. So like they were pretty early. But for me, I think the biggest lesson or like reflection is like, oh shit, it always takes way longer and is so much more work than you could ever imagine. Like I got to just be there at the beginning on the Coinbase side, and then obviously left to start Zora. And then knowing all of the work that the Circle team have had to do before Coinbase even like kind of joined in, and then everything after the fact, and then everything Coinbase has had to do after that point. Just so much work just to get to this point now. Like the whole gradually then suddenly meme, I'm like, oh yeah, it's so real. It's so real. So it's
but at the same time, like 7 years from like conception to being a core thing in the traditional finance landscape is also pretty incredible. Like I think recognize how it feels on the ground, but also when you zoom out, it's like,
that's the other thing too. It's like, I think on the ground, like that's 7 years that feels like 20 or like 25. But if you're kind of like at a different altitude, looking into the space or investing at like a higher level, whatever, it can feel a lot faster. So it's just like a good reminder of like, like the ground game years, I don't know, it's what kind of like dog years or whatever. It's just like, you age a lot. It feels very slow, but it's always good to remember that. Yeah. You get muted, Jess.
He's struggling.
I measure them in gray hair, so each one of these is 24 hours of stress. So
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, me too.
All right, brother. I think we should leave it there. Always welcome back to come in and correct the ills of crypto Twitter or point us in a more optimistic direction. Is there anything you want to leave people with today?
download Zora if you haven't. Check it out. Like, I think it's we've put a lot of work into it, and you've probably seen it or heard about it or hated on it at some point in the past 6 months.
Hated on it, go download it, and then either your hate will get better or you will like the product. One of the two.
And then I one thing I'm focusing on right now is like I'm really just trying to bring in new creators, and I want to help bring in creators that existing crypto people would love to support in this form factor. So yeah, if there's any particular creators that you really would love to see come into crypto, DM them to me or just like tweet them at me, and then I'll just hustle the DMs, try and get them on board.
I mean, I'm so pumped that you finally feel like you have the mechanism right, or at least in a good place, and can go focus on distribution, because I think that has just always been that has always been the thing that has been missing to me. How do I go viral on Zora, and how do I see people that I know and like on Zora?
Yep,
so
exactly.
I think it's awesome that you're in that spot now.
Sweet, cool. Thanks, guys.
It's a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Peace.
See ya.
Cheers.